I'm sure that I want to start streaming. And it should just pop up. Wait. Yes. Okay, here we go. We're live. We can see people. They can see us. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a great day.
Good day, everybody.
Good day, everybody.
Stadiacast.
Okay. Oh my god, dude. I don't know what just made me think of this. But do you have Apple TV Plus or whatever this stupid subscription thing is?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, have you watched Ted Lasso?
Oh, it's the best show of 2020, maybe the best show from many years of new television.
Oh, it is so good.
Mhm.
I am adoring that show. My wife and I finished the season 2 days ago, and we are incredibly impressed at how great it is.
Yeah, it proves that you can be funny without punching down.
Yeah.
So any comedian that says no, there has to be some insults involved is just a lazy comedian, because the show was funny as hell and it was charming as heck.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think you and I must have talked about this, because I remember that exact phrase, you using that exact phrase. But we finished it now, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, great ending.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, we won't
ending.
spoil anything.
The world blew up, guys. But just don't watch it.
It's funny. We're doing this in my STEM class, which is science, technology,
Energy and mathematics?
no, it's engineering and mathematics.
Engineering.
That's the only thing I could think of was energy. In the STEM class that I'm teaching, we were doing a simulation where the kids are like they have these rabbits, and then you can add mutations in of white rabbits and brown rabbits, and in the Arctic, obviously the white rabbits live longer, and in the non-Arctic, where there's not snow everywhere, the brown rabbits live longer because the wolves can't find them or whatever. And if you don't introduce the predators, after like 6 generations or something, the rabbits take over the world. And I don't know what made me think of that just now, but it's funny.
That is funny. In Winnipeg, we had a provincial institution, or I guess it was an organization that was called STEM before STEM was a thing that you heard everywhere, and it was the what was it? The Office of Science, Technology, Energy, and Mining. So whenever someone talks about STEM, I'm always like, oh yeah, mining. No, mathematics, not mining. It's not energy, it's engineering. But I have that acronym in my head for so many years that it's hard to reprogram it.
Gotcha.
What is that? Mike Gibson. My cat's been up to any good stuff this week? My cats, we got a bunch of deliveries. So my cats love boxes. They've been in and out of boxes for the whole week, which is fun. I'm kicking, you know how you open a box that's rectangle and you have the short sides and the long sides? Well, it's behind a chair. So the short side box flap is always hanging out, because I guess that's the way the cats go in and out. So when it's pitch black, I'm always kicking box flaps with my shins, which is fun. Thankfully it doesn't hurt very much, but I'm always scared that there's a cat in the box when I kick it, and then I freaked out the cat. But that's never happened, which is a good thing.
I have a box sitting in this office right now. It's a giant box, and the cats, like, they keep trying to hop into it, and I may or may not have to send this item back. And so every time I see the cats eyeballing it, I'm like, no, get away from there, get. But Stadiacast, there's your Stadiacast update, everybody.
And we have a new chair in the house. I got my new seat just arrived.
Froze. Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
there we go.
My new seat came in, so I have a brand new chair. Thankfully, through the Lloyd's Chair Fund. So now I'm comfortable. I don't have a busted chair that gets blown up and almost fall over all the time, which is really great. So it's been a busy week. A lot of good stuff in personal life and on Stadia. So I think what do you say we get into it?
I think that's probably a good idea. Let me shut off the music, and if I can find it, there we go. And I'm gonna hit record, and we can get started, my friend.
Awesome.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stadiacast. This is episode 81. I'm Bill, that's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Not much, man. It's been a very good week, so I can't wait to talk about some things on this week's Stadiacast.
That's right. But before we get to talk about these good things, the good stuff, we do record the show live every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. You guys can come and hang out with us at 10 a.m. Eastern by heading on over to youtube.com/Stadiacast. If you're here with us live and you want to support the show, if you want to make sure that we see your messages, because the chat goes by at a pretty good clip and sometimes we miss out on stuff, you can use that super chat feature to make sure that we see your message, and we will respond to each and every super chat in the end of the show, which we call crowd play. And there's other ways that you can support the show if you're not here with us live. There's an applaud button right down below, which thank you to everybody who's been using that. That's really awesome. And there's a join button. If you click on that, it's going to tell you all the benefits for joining up. Lloyd, what have you been playing this? You know what? Do we even do what have you been playing this week, or do we jump right into good stuff and demos and stuff?
We could talk a little bit about there's the Halloween event happening in Elder Scrolls Online right now, and I've been playing an incredible amount of that. Loving it like mad. That's been a heck of a lot of fun. Also played a little bit of Avengers. If you played Avengers before now, and you log in, you get a huge pile of stuff. There's upgrade cubes and currency and all that stuff as kind of a mea culpa from the developers because of some things that have been happening in the game and delays and stuff like that. And also playing a little bit of Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood. Doom Eternal for the new expansion that dropped. Played through some of that and smacked my head against the table a little bit and decided to not play that right now. I gotta be in a Doom Eternal mode to get in there because I'm dying constantly, and playing through a lot of Wolfenstein Youngblood as well. I've been actually getting a lot of gaming in prior to the good stuff that we're going to talk about right away.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up Doom Eternal, and I have to say, I loaded it up and played a little bit of it, and what I've noticed is, man, do I need to go back and have them introduce stuff to me slowly over time again, because this is the game is really hard. And it's not a bad thing that it's really hard, but having not played it in, I don't know, months or something, going back to it, I'm just terrible. And I don't want to lower the difficulty because I finished it on whatever difficulty I'm on, and I feel like I know that I can do this. It's just that when you play through the original campaign, you know, they kind of start you at a 3 and then they move you up to a 4 and they keep increasing it and increasing it until they probably get you to a 10, and then they drop it down to 9, 8, and it probably hovers around 8 in difficulty until the end. And I feel like the expansion starts at an 8, and I'm not ready for that, and so I need practice or something, because I was getting my tail kicked. I'm just out of practice. But what I will say is this game feels snappier, faster, and more responsive than it did before. I played the whole thing only on Stadia. And I know that when it first came out, there were a lot of people complaining about latency and stuff like that. I never really experienced it. I think that was... I'm not dismissing what people said about it, but I think that was confirmation bias because they had heard that it was very high latency, and so they were like, oh, it's very high latency. When I played this, it feels so much better than it did before. It is incredibly fast, snappy, and there's no latency at all. It's insane how well this game plays.
I agree 100%. I noticed a lot when I was playing through my original play of Doom Eternal. You would do things like your little boost charge thing that you can do to kind of like I don't know, like charge through the air or whatever if you're trying to get through grapple points and things like that. And every once in a while, there'd be almost like a split-second pause, part way. So you'd start moving, and then it would kind of like stop for a second, and then you'd kind of continue on. And I thought that was an effect of that boost that you were using, but it seems like maybe it was something to do with the frame rate or whatever. That's all gone. No, there's no frame rate issues that I had playing through about an hour of the new content. But even on easy, because I was like, okay, I'm dying too much, I turned it down to the easiest setting that you can possibly get, and I come around a corner and there's like the little brain on legs walking around, and there's a couple guys with shotguns, and you come around a corner and you're done. You are really done. Rascals Hobbs, how well it plays is due to the person's internet quality, not for the issue that we're talking about right now. It seemed like it was a processing issue on Doom's side in the Stadia cloud, so the game wasn't optimized properly. It wasn't like the internet screwing things up, but that's completely gone. And I know from launch to when we stopped really playing it a lot, the game got way better, but it seems like they're continuing to just to just iterate on making things smooth, like buttery smooth, which is really great. The standalone DLC that is available separately, because it's a standalone DLC, or as part of the deluxe edition, or if you get the season pass. The interesting thing, if you buy the standalone DLC season pass, you get Doom multiplayer as like a free download, so you can play the multiplayer game as a separate download, or it's part of the same executable, but it's like a separate item on the Stadia store. It makes me wonder if in the future Doom Eternal multiplayer is going to go free to play for everybody, just the way that they're kind of chunking it out, which is really interesting. But yeah, I'm really loving the DLC campaign so far. It's been a heck of a lot of fun.
And before we move on, I just want to say that I just looked up the release date for Doom. It came out this year. And so that means that I'm going to have to choose between Baldur's Gate 3 and Doom Eternal as my favorite games of the year. And I don't know what I'm going to do, because both of those games are really rad. Now, unfortunately, we had a bunch of good stuff, new things for us to play. And so I have not had a chance to play Baldur's Gate 3 at all this week, and I need to get back to it because I absolutely love that game, and I want to find out what happens to my little dwarven rogue. But are you ready to move on and talk about the good stuff?
Yeah, let's get into the good stuff. It was a good week, man.
It absolutely was. Let's start. We'll break things out by day. All right. So
Okay.
day one, I'm bringing it up on screen now so that people can see it along with us. If it's loading really slowly for some reason, there we go. Obviously, the Megatunnel Battle Pac-Man was the demo. Each day we got a demo to play, and day one was Pac-Man. Let's talk about Pac-Man first.
Sure.
What do you think of Pac-Man Megatunnel Battle?
I noticed that when I first started playing it, there was a lot of lag, where Pac-Man and ghosts were kind of jumping all over the place. And I'm like, wow, that's really weird. I've never seen that on Stadia. But that, I think what that showed me was the sheer number of people that had maybe never played Stadia before were all jumping on at the same time to check out this Pac-Man demo. When I finally got in after a little while and got into some more gameplay, the game is it's fun. It's different than most battle royale because you have a game happening on your screen. There's games that are happening around you that you can see little bits of, and people can pretty much at all times, except that there's a lock on the little gates, can invade your place. So I had one game where I was at the top of the maze running away from ghosts, and I saw a guy eat a power pellet, went through a gate and ate me because he saw that I was at the top of the stage. So unlike a lot of battle royale style games, I think there's a lot more strategy that's going to develop over time. It's not just focus on what's on your screen. You have to actually be aware of what's happening around you because of enemies that can infect you, or the ability to jump in and take care of some enemies and get them down. The game the game has been so much fun. I'm loving it so far. I'm going to be sad when it's not in my library anymore and I have to wait for the official release, because I've picked it up to play the demo a bunch of times, and it's been a heck of a lot of fun. How about you, Bill? What were your thoughts?
This game is fantastic. I have put a lot of time into Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle in the past week. It is so incredibly well done. I will say this, that hitchiness that you were talking about,
Mhm.
I've experienced that as well, and I don't think that that has anything to do with the servers or latency or anything like that. I feel like the game is poorly optimized,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure if that's gonna stick around or not. But I've in spite of what I feel like is poor optimization, I think that it's still an amazing game, and I'm going to continue to play it. I do feel like it plays very slowly,
Mhm.
and like your like Pac-Man moves very slow, and I'm used to when playing Pac-Man, yeah, you start out real slow, but after about 2 minutes, you're zipping around the course really fast, and I don't feel like it
Right.
ever speeds up as much as I would like it to,
Sure.
unless you actually get like the power up. But it's
Yeah.
awesome, and you're right about the strategy. And here's a pro tip that I found out by accident.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure if you know this, but if you hold the trigger, you zoom out and you can see
Yep.
all of the boards that are around you, like their entire board, while you're playing, which
Mhm.
is really fantastic. And the A button and the B button, thanks to the live chat telling me this when I was streaming it, um, if you hold down those buttons as you eat a power up, like the
Yep.
stun power up or the lock power up or the
Yep.
make Pac-Man smelly power up so the ghosts run away from him, you can hold on to that for later. So you're right. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it,
It is.
and I'm having an absolute blast. I can't wait to play more of it. And I'm with you. I'm going to be sad when it goes away.
Totally. It seems like there's going to be a lot of unlockables, a lot of different customization things, which surprised me that the game wasn't going to be free to play. Like usually when you see so many customization options, it's encouraging grinding and you want people to play your game and stuff like that. So it's going to be $20, I believe, when it launches, which is a fine price for it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens at launch, how popular it is. This was a great way to kick off the Good Stuff events. Pac-Man is probably one of the biggest franchises of all times in the video game land. It's really what blew up the arcades. People had Pac-Man fever. There was records, there was toys, there was cartoons, there
Cereal.
was cereal, there was trading cards that had little scratch things, so you can go through your maze by scratching off
Oh
little
my
bits
God, I remember
of
those.
silver stuff. Pac-Man was huge, and it continues to be huge. So saying, hey, Pac-Man's here on Stadia and you can try it for free, I think was kind of the best way that they could have kind of dipped their toe into letting the general public into Stadia, and play for free, without any sort of purchase or credit card or anything like that. It turned out really well. I'm really eager to see how this game launches, what it's going to look like, what the grinding for different cosmetics is going to look like. But I can see this being a popular game on Stadia, for quite some time, because it's addictive. It's one of those. Okay, one more. Okay, one more. All right, okay, one more. Oh, I'm just gonna go look at my buddy. My buddy's playing. I'm gonna watch his game because I can just jump right in and watch it. It's a pretty well done battle royale game.
I had some people who were wondering how come you can't play it with your friends. Like, why can't you queue up with your friends and play? And I think that what a lot of people are forgetting, and myself included at the beginning, because I was like, oh, where's that for an option? Is because this is a battle royale game, and if Lloyd and I wanted to be a bunch of jerks, we could queue up together and then team up against other people who are
Sure.
not in teams. So what I see happening in the future, possibly,
Mm.
is them doing multiplayer as a different mode where you can queue up as two people who are on the same team, and instead of having 64 Pac-Man Pac-Man. I don't know what the plural of Pac-Man is. Instead of having 64 of them, you would have 128, and you'd still have the same number of boards, but you would start on a board together. And I think that would be really cool. I foresee them adding a lot of different modes to this, which still makes me scratch my head as to why this game is not free to play. What I would like, I think that, I mean, I'm fine paying money for a game and getting a game, but I feel like they would make so much more money and it would be so much more popular if it were a free to play game. And like right now, we don't really have actual free to play games on Google Stadia because you do have to make some kind of monetary investment in order to play any of the games that are quote unquote free to play.
Right.
And I think that sell Pac-Man for $2 on Stadia, and it comes with, you know, one pair of sunglasses or whatever that you can use, and then sell the other items, the other mazes, the other capes and nonsense like that. Sell that to make your money, and way more people would jump in on it.
Yeah, I agree. It's the way Stadia's been doing free to play. Like Bomberman 64 is free to play. If you're pro, it was free. If you're not pro, you had to buy it for $10 to get access to the thing. And if that's how they're going to do free to play on Stadia, I think that is an okay way to do it. So pro people get the base game for free without spending any money, but then anyone else can get access to it by doing a microtransaction of some sort, some $5 or $10 currency pack or something. That'd be a really, really great way to get into it. But what they're showing with the demo right now is that they could quickly spin up and give you a 5-minute demo of the game and say, hey, this is a free to play game, but you need to get access to it by buying this pack. Here's how you do it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And they give people a taste, get them hooked, and then give them a way to quickly buy their way into getting it. So I love Pac-Man. I can't wait for it to launch to see if there's any new modes. Maybe there's going to be a play with friends mode that's going to be added for like 4-player or 8-player multiplayer. We don't really know what's going to come in the full game, but I'm eager to see what comes out at launch because the game is really well done. And I never thought I'd play a Pac-Man battle royale. Like I never thought that would ever be a thing, and it just totally makes sense when you're jumping into it. So I love how this battle royale mentality in video games is forcing people to rethink old ways of playing and molding it like clay into a new way of playing. Because we've seen for years where people have tried to bring back, people being developers tried to bring back the whole arcade thing. So it's like, we're going to come up with a shooter, we're going to come up with a beat 'em up, and a game that was based around trying to kill your player every 45 seconds, so they put another quarter in, doesn't really, it doesn't translate when you have unlimited quarters just by hitting start. So taking old properties and re-envisioning them has worked out really great. And I'm waiting to see like the asteroids battle royale and the I don't know, the super off-road battle royale, like Centipede. All these other battle royales, Centipede battle royale, Missile Command battle royale. They could turn all these old arcade properties into really great games just by making them modern, by changing the whole point of the game, which is to be the last one standing out of a bunch of people that started playing the game at the same time.
It's pretty brilliant. So let's move on to the other day one announcements. We finally have a release date for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, I've not played this game. I've been looking forward to playing it on Stadia. I knew that I wanted to play it. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I knew that I've been waiting for it to come to Stadia, and now it's coming November 24th. Remind me, when is Cyberpunk 2077 coming?
The birthday of Stadia. Stadia's 1 year birthday.
That's right.
The 19th.
The 19th. Ouch. This is painful for me. Like,
yeah.
all all year long since Stadia was announced, there's been a lot of people complaining that Stadia doesn't have enough games. And here I'm sitting here. I'm like, I don't have time to play all of the games that are on the damn system. It's hard. It's getting hard for me to prioritize what is it that I'm going to pick up. Now, you've played this before, right?
Yeah, I played it. I played it on Xbox. Uh, I had to get my Xbox plug-in for the people that think that we talk about Xbox every single episode. It's a fantastic game. I love Star Wars. I mean, I have a Star Wars tattoo. I love everything Star Wars. The game is really great. The one problem with the game is there's really no like true fast travel system. So getting from around like one area and then realizing that you have to go back to a planet that you were just on, and you have to go to a different area to unlock this one thing, got a little bit annoying. It extended the gameplay from, say, what could have been a 30-hour game to like a 45-hour game.
Yeah.
But after getting annoyed at it the first time, all that stuff disappeared. I was enjoying the story, enjoying the unlocking of the lightsaber parts, customizing my little robot buddy, unlocking different force powers and things like that. All of those annoyances that I felt in like the first 5 hours completely melted away. I love it. So it's a third person action adventure game set in the Star Wars universe with someone that has force powers, set in a time where all Jedi have been hunted or are actively being hunted. So it's a really great story, and it doesn't help that I'm a big fan of the TV show Shameless, and the main character is one of the characters from the show Shameless. So it was odd seeing his face and voice and him being a Jedi instead of someone that did other things, maybe on the seedier side. So from start to finish, I love the game, and I can't wait for people that are only Stadia players to actually have the ability to get in and play this game, because it really should be played. It's a fantastic title.
So I love the show Shameless, but there's two versions of that. Which version are you talking about, with William H. Macy or the British version?
The U.S. version of Shameless.
Okay. I've never seen the U.S. version. I've only seen the British version. So I don't know
one
who
of
you're
his
talking
kids. One of his kids, I think it's his oldest son or second oldest son. He's the main character in this game, which is pretty funny, because you have this Jedi with bright red hair and pale face, and it's just like, I recognize that guy. Oh yeah, Shameless. that's I've watched the show a lot. Yeah, it's really great.
The other game that was announced as part of day one was Hello Engineer, which it's weird that they have this this shared universe based on the Hello Neighbor series. It's really odd, but Hello Engineer has it's like some kind of sandbox game where you can play with other people and work together to build machines, and there's some really cool stuff that they're showing off in this where like you can see the inside of the machine, and you could put like these little cog wheels together. It reminds me of when I was a kid. We had these toy sets,
Tinker Toys.
Tinker Toys. Although I don't think it was Tinker Toys. It was like the thing Constructs, I think, is what it was called.
That was another one.
Everything was gray and shades of gray in Constructs. Yeah. And that's what it reminded me of when I saw it, and I showed it to my son, and he was like, "That looks really cool." And then he was like, "Oh my goodness, the neighbor guy is in it," because he loves the Hello Neighbor games. I don't like the Hello Neighbor games because I don't like the way that they control. So I'm a little lukewarm on this. But what they showed of building these machines in this weird sandbox thing looks really, really cool. This game is coming out in 2021. What were your thoughts on it?
It reminded me immediately off the bat. I have no love for the Hello Neighbor universe, or cinema universe, or cinematic universe. I don't know. I don't know why people really fell in love with this game as much as they did. But I know that everyone that loved Hello Neighbor was very young, so maybe it's something to do with the hide and seek mentality of it. That's fine. What it reminded me of was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts on the Xbox 360, where you're basically building little contraptions to get around the stages and things like that. Obviously, this isn't like a third-person adventure platformer, but yeah, it looks pretty interesting. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll want to check it out when it launches, because it seems more than just break in through the window. Oh, he learned, and now he's going to look at all the windows. Okay, I got to find some other way to break into the house. This seems like a very different game. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Yeah, and JB in chat is saying, it's for the kids. It's a game that
Mhm.
is for kids. It's a horror game that is
Yeah,
not disgusting, which I applaud them for doing something like that.
for sure.
And honestly, I think it would have been really, really fun for me if I could have wrapped my head around how the controls worked, because it felt very clumsy when I was playing it. And that was the one thing that I didn't like about it. Everything else I
Right.
thought was cool. I love the idea of a scary horror game that is not about being as gross as you possibly can. That being said, speaking of horror games, as I bring it up and we are coming up on Halloween, I'm going to say it has been far too long for Stadia to exist without Alien Isolation on the
Mm.
system, because that is the greatest horror game ever made, in my opinion. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. We have Dead by Daylight on one side, and we have Hello Neighbor on the other side. So if you're
Yeah,
older or younger, there's horror games for every taste, I guess.
there you go. All right, let's move on and talk about day two.
Mhm.
Day two had yet another demo. You want to tell people about this one?
Yeah, so the demo is for a game called Humankind. It's a 4X game, which, if you're not familiar with like Civilization or there's a bunch of other 4X games, it's explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate, I think is what it stands for. So you're basically
I did not.
starting.
I'm sorry. I did not know that that's what the 4X's stood for in 4X games.
Yeah, that's what they stand for. That's what it stands for, at least according to Wikipedia. When I learned that a while ago, when they were popular on iOS, I was like, "What the hell is 4X?" And I go look on Wikipedia. I'm like, "Oh, that totally makes sense." So you're basically trying to build a city, or build a world, or build a I don't know, build whatever. But you're trying to attack other people, but also expand and extract all of the, that's another X, maybe it's 5X, extract all of the natural resources so that you can be bigger and bigger. So it looks great. I started it up. I went through, there's this interesting little video that plays right when you start the game, where one of the creative guys, I guess it's the creative lead, is talking about the game, and this is a demo, and we're eager to see what people are doing, and it's just a small little sample. It looks really interesting. The way this is kind of flipping Civilization on its head a little bit is, when you get to a certain point in your evolution, you then get to a new age, and then you can pick one civilization that has existed. So you might be like kind of, I don't know, kind of like a caveman type thing. You have very, very little technology, but then when you graduate, you could be either like Romans or I don't know, Japanese, or like the Bronze Age in North America type thing. And it's like, okay, so you're choosing kind of your path. So everybody's game could be different based on these choices that you make as you kind of evolve from one step to another. Very interesting. Not my kind of game, but I know a lot of people are super hyped about games like this, and the ability to start a gameplay, or start a game rather, and play it for 30-40 hours, and then and then pick it up on your phone and continue without having to download this huge client and have your save game living on your PC. So very interesting. I'm glad for the people that love 4X games, that they have a really beefy demo on Stadia, and it looks like Humankind is going to be a hit. Everybody that I've seen talk about it has said that it's been a really enjoyable way to get into that type of gameplay.
Yeah, the developers have said, "Hey, sorry about the tutorial." I think that a tutorial, like they have a tutorial on their YouTube page. I've linked it in the show notes. If you go to runjumpstomp.com, you can check it out. But instead of showing the video that they showed with the dev at the beginning, where he's like, "This is what dev beta means," and blah blah blah. That's all great. That's great.
Sure.
But show the tutorial video instead, because I looked at it and it was like, it said in the bottom right corner, push this button, and I clicked that and it didn't do anything. And then it was like, it said something like, explore the terrain first, and I was like, okay, what am I looking for? There's all of these things all over the screen, and I don't know how to interpret what I'm supposed to do in the game. I shouldn't have to go to YouTube and watch a tutorial there, especially when
Right.
they're streaming the game to me and they showed me a video in front of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they get that figured out.
that whole video is really interesting. I like, we were chatting a little bit, and it's like, well, I wonder if this video was just another YouTube video that was just played over top of the gameplay, and if that's going to be how developers can kind of add like community content, or like this week in blah 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 game, they could just have a YouTube video that is uploaded to their channel and then link it in the game. Since everything's streaming anyway, it's all kind of like this one little playground that everybody's kind of in. Kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever seen another video game that had kind of like a talking head video that kind of prefaced you getting into playing the game. So it'll be interesting to see how the way that goes, or if these are things that eventually you'll be able to hit the little guide button and say, hey, show me a tutorial on how to get past this level. And you have that same guy. Hi, I'm the guy from Humankind. I'm going to talk to you about this, and this is what you have to do. Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to me. I also saw a lot of people online kind of making fun of it, which I people do, so that's a thing. But I think this could lead to really cool features baked into games in the future.
You know, you bring up the guide button that back at GDC 20 whatever, a million years ago, it feels like, where they said, hey, and you can hit this button, the button on the controller, and you can say, how do I get past this? And it's going to show you a video. And I guess what I always assumed is that it would go out and search for like a search on YouTube and bring back something. But it makes more sense. And it makes a lot more sense why we don't have that feature yet. But it makes more sense for developers to have made those videos, those tutorials, and that way they can better control what gets shown to people when they are playing a game. So if I'm watching Tomb Raider and I hit that button, I don't get like some moron with profanity laced nonsense screaming about their game. I get, you know, just straight up gameplay that says, hey, here's how you do this one thing.
Yeah, and I think developers have kind of talked about this feature a little bit. And what you have to do is, for when you're building a game, you have to have metadata across all the levels. So you have to say this person's in level 3, they're in the hilly part of level 3, and they're at the orb puzzle. So that would be all kind of metadated out. So when you hit the guide button, they know that you're at the orb puzzle in world 3 in the hilly area. And then they can pull up a video that tells you how to get past that particular orb puzzle just by having everything kind of chunked out that way. So I don't think any developer would want random YouTube talking heads like us to talk garbage about their game by having that little button. So it's going to be very much integrated with the gameplay. And unknown user in the chat room saying that PS5 will have a feature. So Stadia talked about it, and it looks like maybe PlayStation 5 will be the first one to ship with it, which is a little bit unfortunate.
Well, you know what? You know why I think that might be is because up until now, developers weren't doing it. Like they didn't have these videos made. So all of the old games that we have, of course, they're not going to have that stuff. So we have to wait for new stuff that has that kind of feature. Like it wouldn't make much sense on, let's say, Orcs Must Die 3, because like there's so many different ways to go about completing something in that game. It doesn't make sense. But for a game like, we'll say, Tomb Raider 17, you know, whatever the next Tomb Raider game is, there's only one way to complete a puzzle in a game. And so it makes sense for that game to have that feature. But for all of the old Tomb Raider games, the developers never made those videos. So there's nothing for them to search for. So what I think will happen is if there's a game that is on both PlayStation and Stadia, then I'm sure that both will have access to this feature.
Exactly.
And I bet Xbox will have this feature as well. I'm sure Switch will not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once you have a bigger platform, because seeing all the people talk about this good stuff really shows how small the Stadia community is to pretty much any other gaming platform. So developers spending time making 100 little videos for a game that's going to sell a couple thousand copies doesn't maybe make sense when they could bring out the same game on PlayStation 5 and maybe sell 100,000 copies. Of course, this will all go away once Stadia is bigger and there's a little bit more kind of like population parity across the next gen consoles. But yeah, it totally makes a great point there, Bill. That once there's more developers doing it, those little features are going to come to every platform, because that's the big thing about gaming as a developer or as a publisher. You want the lowest common denominator. So that's why in the 360 era, every game was made on PS3 first, because it was harder to develop for, and then ported to all the other platforms. And the same thing happened with this current generation that we're in right now, where a lot of games were made for Xbox and ported to PS4, or made for PS4 and ported to Xbox, but there was no features like the little touchpad on the PlayStation 4 controller was used in very few games, because Xbox didn't have one and Switch didn't have one, and PC kind of has one. You have a mouse, but maybe not on the controller. So yeah, once we have more population and PS5 is out, maybe we'll see a lot more of this stuff make its way into Stadia as well.
So let's move on and talk about a game coming to Stadia Pro now, not next month, but next year. And I think there's a lot of people who got very excited for this. I am not one of them. I've not played this. I'm not really interested in it. But I know that it's incredibly popular, and I know that people are very excited for Ark, Survival Evolved, coming to Stadia Pro. Just watching the video here, I'm like, wow, it looks really cool. Yep. But isn't that's the game where you start out and you're naked and you have to poop and everything, right?
Yeah, it's a full-on survival game where it's like Rust with dinosaurs, basically. The game is super popular. I tried getting into it a few times and I wasn't able to do that. But the interesting thing on Stadia is you're not going to have to worry about downloads. This game is like the base game for Ark is like 60 gigs, but it expands to 250 gigs on your hard drive. And then if you download all the DLC, it expands to well over 500 gigs. So it's a game that takes up a lot of disk space. So people don't want to have it installed at all times. Well, you don't have to worry about that on Stadia. And there's also some features that the Stadia version will have that the PC version doesn't have. The number of people that can be in an Ark at one time and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about checking this out. Again, I've tried a few times and it's always been more annoying than good, and I quickly bounced from it. So maybe now that it's a pro game, I'll be able to spend more time with it, because I don't have to wait for any downloads. I can just hit play and I'm jumping into an Ark and I'm getting killed by the smallest little possible dinosaur in the world because he's biting my toes, and then I fall over and then I say, okay, that's enough Ark for today. We'll see how many times I do that on Stadia.
And for me, it's, I'll obviously try it and maybe I'll love it, but I'm not going to invest money in this game because I don't think it will appeal to me. And that's one of the things about Stadia Pro that is so cool. When we get these games, the friction for me to try them is minimal. Like I might have Ark on like PS Plus or something like that, and I never installed it because, first off, like you said, it's huge. I would have to go through and uninstall a whole bunch of stuff in order to make room for it. When I want to try it on Stadia, I don't have to do anything. I just click a button and I'm playing instantly. And I think that's really cool. I brought up a minute ago Orcs Must Die 3, and it's getting an expansion. I've got about 50 hours in this game, and I really, really enjoyed Orcs Must Die 3. It's my first Orcs Must Die game, I believe. I think I might have played one on iOS or something like that, but I don't count that. The expansion is $10. There are a million people who asked, are we getting the expansion as part of Stadia Pro? No, you're not. And I think it's perfectly reasonable for them to charge $10 for this expansion. You know what? It's featuring a character that I guess a lot of people were asking for. I don't know who he is, but Max is, I guess, very popular and people are excited. Are you going to be jumping back in with all new scenarios?
Probably. I really enjoyed my time with Orcs Must Die. I didn't play it quite as much as Bill. Bill was obsessed and getting all the stuff unlocked and things like that. I played a lot of it and really enjoyed it. but I kind of grew tired of one mission that I couldn't beat without cheesing it. So I kind of moved on a little bit from it. And then they readjusted the way all the traps work, and all the traps that I liked using got less powerful. And I'm like, oh, come on, don't ruin the way that I play this game. And of course, that's just me not wanting to learn new things in this game. So I'll probably jump in for the expansion, because yeah, it'll give me more content and maybe some new items, traps, and weapons to use.
You know what I notice in this video, in they don't mention it in the video, and they
Yeah,
don't show it on, they don't mention it on the blog post, but it looks like it has Stream Connect, which
that's
is like,
yeah. I was.
why didn't it first off, this is a game that should have had Stream Connect from the beginning,
Mhm.
because it's an awesome feature. If, for those of you who are listening who are like, what is Stream Connect? It's this feature where if Lloyd and I were playing together, we would be able to see each other's screens in the corner, basically, as we play. It's worked really well in Division 2 and I guess Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And there's nothing in the blog post that is showing, or that says that it has Stream Connect. But I feel like what they're showing us is definitely, well, okay, it's possibly Stream Connect, although I feel like the window that we're seeing of the other person's screen is a little too big. So I'm not sure if this is just the way that they decided to edit the video to show that it was a two-player game. What do you think about that, Lloyd?
Yeah, see, immediately I was like, "Oh, Stream Connect, this is amazing!" But then the way that they were kind of expanding it to kind of show you different parts of the level made me think that it was just an odd way to do editing on the video, making it seem to people that it might be Stream Connect, but maybe not.
Yeah, I really hope that it has Stream Connect, because that's an awesome feature. That's a feature I didn't think that I would enjoy nearly as much as I enjoyed it. Whenever I'm playing Division 2 and I
Mhm.
get put into a group with another Stadia player and I can see what they're doing, it's always super useful. Like, I can see where they're aiming and I can be like, all right, I'm going to send um, my little robot, like, because I have drones on my character, I'm going to send my little robot where they're aiming and take out, help them take out the enemy that they're
Right.
struggling with. It's really
Mhm.
cool, and I can't wait for more games to have it.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those great features. I remember jumping into Ghost Recon for the first time, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is really cool!" Oh, he's looking in his inventory. Oh, he has that gun. What gun is that? And you could actually see that detail in
Mhm.
Stream Connect. But yeah, it hasn't been used enough. That said, I haven't played many multiplayer games on Stadia, so maybe once there's more like large multiplayer games, maybe we'll get more of that stuff kind of baked into those games as well.
You know, speaking of PlayStation, the PS5 is going to have its own version of Stream Connect, only it's not limited to the game that you're playing. It's like
Mm.
if Lloyd and I were playing on PS5 and we were in a party together,
Yep.
and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to stream my gameplay," even if we're not, like, maybe I'm playing I don't know, the new Assassin's Creed, and he's playing Spider-Man
Oh,
Miles Morales or whatever. Like, I can watch him play Spider-Man in the corner while I'm playing Assassin's Creed or whatever on the PS5, which is very interesting, and
yeah.
it's definitely something that I feel like Google is could easily pull off, because we already
Yep.
have Stream Connect. You just got to have a way for them to mix the streams that are from different games.
Yeah, couple things. PlayStation has pretty much had that for years, but it was limited to watching full screen. Now that the fact that
Yeah.
you can have it picture in picture or snapped on the side is going to make that way more usable, because I know my son and my daughter like to watch their friends play games. If they could play another game while also watching their friend play games without having Twitch open or YouTube, or have parents that want their kids to have a Twitch or YouTube account to stream on, um, I mean, this is just going to make it easier for everybody to do that. Hopefully, Google bakes that in. And according to Zajic in the chat room, the Orcs Must Die devs said that it is Stream Connect and it will be
Oh,
coming
cool.
at the same time as the DLC. So great. I'm glad it's not just a weird editing that looked like something, but maybe could have been something else. So that's something else, rather. That's really great. I can't wait to see more of that in Orcs Must Die.
It's really strange that they didn't mention it, though. Like, why wouldn't you mention that? Because that's such a cool feature, you know? Anyway,
Mhm.
let's move on to day 3. Day 3 also got a demo. This is probably the demo that everybody was most excited for, and that
Yeah.
was Immortals Fenyx Rising, which was originally called Gods and Monsters. Lloyd, have you played this game yet?
I have. First off, this demo alone has made Stadia a trend on Twitter. It's
Well,
made
sort of.
well, yeah, it started trending before the other stuff that we'll get
Oh, okay.
into, which was great to see. It trended higher because of that other stuff, but I'm seeing what is it? Kind of funny, GameStop, IGN. They're all talking about how amazing the process was to get on and play it on Stadia. They're saying the game is great. Yeah, this was the PR that we needed for Stadia to bring more people into the fold. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, I love Assassin's Creed and I love Breath of the Wild, and this is Assassin's Creed crossed with Breath of the Wild. It's a fantastic game, and I played it. I loved it. I didn't beat it, and the reason why I want to play it through today when I have a little bit more time. But there's this one part in the game where you have to like put stones on pressure pads, and then there's like this little uh, it's like a force field or whatever, and I didn't know what to do when I'm between force fields. So there was another rock there, so I picked it up and I threw it out where the first pressure pad was, and then I knocked the rock off the pressure pad, and I couldn't get out of that force field. So I pretty much like penned myself in an inescapable jail, and I laughed. I recorded a video and I was going to post it, but I thought, no, I want to talk about it on Stadiacast first to show how much of an idiot I am. But man, the game is so good. The two people that are always kind of chatting about what's happening, they're funny, but not in a cringy way. In an actual,
the writing is good.
the writing is really good. It does the thing where someone's telling a tall tale and they keep changing their mind about what it is, and then the thing kind of appears on the screen constantly. It reminds me a lot of like old Disney cartoons, with the way the humor was done. I cannot wait for this game to launch. This is my most anticipated game in 2020, even more than Cyberpunk, because I love Assassin's Creed so much. So being able to jump in and play a nice little like snap, or little snapshot of this game has been great. But it makes me really hungry for the rest of the game that is coming in December.
Now, just so you're aware, Lloyd,
Mhm.
you locked yourself in that little cage. You can get out
Yep.
of there because in the corner there's a button where you can just walk over and turn off the force field, so you
Really?
so you can't get trapped behind a force field.
Damn it. I looked all around and I didn't find it, and I actually had to go for the day, so I wasn't able to poke around very much more. But I laughed, and then I deleted my save game so that I could start it over again. But yeah, I'm a big fan, man. We were talking when you were streaming it, the lighting on the main character on Phoenix seems a little bit odd, but all that stuff can be fixed. But man, this is like the perfect blend of Assassin's Creed and Breath of the Wild that I didn't know I wanted. But now that's all I can think about is playing this game when it launches.
I've seen a million people ask, what's the resolution? What's the frame rate? And all I have to say to you people is it doesn't friggin' matter. Just play the game, and if it's fun, then it's fun. Stop worrying about numbers.
Yeah.
All right,
It
rant
does
over.
it does seem to be buttery smooth. I'd be surprised if it wasn't running at 60 frames a second when I was playing it, maybe 1080p 60 frames. But I was playing in 4K, so that's probably not the case. But man, the game looks so good, so good. Yeah, I looking at the stuff that is locked in the menus, like your skill tree and stuff like that, it just seems like this game is going to be so much fun. Climbing to the tippity top of a mountain to find an upgrade, those upgrade stones that you need to get your last power unlocked, is going to be just going to be so much fun for me. I can't wait for this game to launch.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Young Souls. This is a surprise.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool. I like the art style of it. Why don't you tell people what we know about Young Souls?
So yeah, Young Souls. At first, I thought it was like a roguelike game where, what that type of game style is you go through a dungeon, you collect resources, and then you can spend those resources to upgrade your character. But when you die, you lose all the resources you haven't spent, but you keep some of those powers. It seems like it's less that and more co-op RPG with like random dungeon elements thrown into it. So you're trying to go through, collecting the stuff that you need to upgrade your abilities, but when you die you basically just start, you do it, again the next day. Looks really good. The art style is ridiculous. I love it, very very much. And the thought of playing a game like this in co-op is not something I ever thought I'd want, but after seeing this video, it's like, man, I can just imagine Bill and I running through this game together and just making fun of each other the whole time because of getting hit or missing jumps or whatever. I'm really really excited about this one.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought I was kind of with you. I thought it was more of an RPG, but it seems more actiony to me,
Yep.
like an old school brawler. Especially, there's a moment in the trailer where one of the characters has a fireball coming at him, and he swings his sword and knocks it back away. I think this game looks great, and I love roguelikes. I really, really do. So. It seems like it's the perfect well, I don't know. I haven't played it, but it seems like a great combination of all of the kind of things that I really like. It's
Yep.
coming in 2021. It's got a cool art style. It's got roguelike features. It's got some RPG skill trees. It looks like it's
Yep.
got these things where it's mini games where you're working out in order to increase your stats. All that stuff seems really awesome, and I can't wait for it to come out next year.
Hmm.
Let's move on to Phoenix Point. I did not know that this was a game that's already in existence elsewhere, but
Yeah.
it's coming to Stadia next year. And it's from the makers of XCOM, and it straight up looks like when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's an XCOM ripoff. Well, I don't know if XCOM developers can rip themselves off, so I
Yep.
think this game looks fantastic. It has really, really great art style. The graphics are really great, and I love the lighting and the shadows look really cool. And I love this kind of game. I'm always bad at this kind of game, but I don't care. I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks great. Have you played this game before, or did you play XCOM?
I did. I like XCOM. Like you, I'm terrible at them, but I really love that game style. I love kind of keeping your guys alive, moving them around, doing crits from like sniper shots or whatever. Super super fun. As you said, this game is, the creative director for this game was one of the original creators of XCOM way back in the day, so it has that DNA, which is great. It's not just a ripoff, from someone that liked the game. It's the person that invented the game is making another game similar to it. It looks really really good. It's been out for about a year on PC. It has like 4-star rating on Steam, so people really really like it. But they say that it's a large game and it takes time to download and get into. Not on Stadia. You hit a button, you're playing. I think that will do wonders for, the user, the amount of users that are playing this game at any given time. Just making it easier to get into and play is, one of the best parts of Stadia for us. Not having to download, install, and then delete when you're not playing games. You just hit a button and you're playing it. Whether you played it last week or last year, you're back in and playing the game right away. It's pretty fantastic.
They also mentioned on this day they talked about Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of people were like, "Why are they talking about Baldur's Gate 3? That's already out." And that's because not everybody knows that you can play Baldur's Gate 3 on Stadia. In fact, I saw some articles that were like, here's 10 RPGs you can play if your computer can't run Baldur's Gate 3. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Your computer can run Baldur's Gate 3 if you have a good
Yeah.
internet connection. So, how about you just play Baldur's Gate 3 instead?
Your
But
$150 Chromebook can run Baldur's Gate 3. You
that's
don't need
right.
a beefy PC anymore.
That's right. And then they shouted out I don't know if it's a feature, but it's kind of cool. And my initial reaction was like, hot damn, I'm never going to have to pay for Pro again, having a Stadia podcast. But I think that, and people in chat can let us know, how many people in chat are not Stadia Pro subscribers. Because my guess is that the number of people who listen to this show who don't have Stadia Pro are going to be pretty low. But listen, if you are a Stadia Pro subscriber, you can then send an invite to a friend and say, hey, why don't you try it out? They get a free month, and then if they sign up and pay for a month, you then get a free month of Stadia Pro. So it's like a little recruiting tool, and it's if you load up Stadia on a computer, on the top right, you're going to see like your avatar, then you're going to see like your friends list, then you're going to see the controller button, and then you're going to see the present. And the present, it gets you your link that you can copy and paste, which I think is really, really cool. But my initial reaction was, cool, we're going to basically have free pro because we've got a popular podcast. But my guess is nobody can really use this because they're all Stadia fans.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if it's if it's for first time pro members only or something. Like there has to be some other fine print that I wasn't able to see, because it seems like it's such a good deal. I pasted my code in chat. Bill did in some of his videos. We'll see if people use it, but this is a really great way. You get a month, you give a month, and then you get a free month on top of it. So it seems like it's a really great way on the I don't know, the sunset of the 3 days of demos with all these new people coming to Stadia saying, hey, if you want to get in, use one of your friends' code. You get a month, they get a month, and you get a freebie just for joining Pro. Seems like a really great way to increase the Stadia Pro user base, which is a good thing. More people paying for Pro means more money for Google to spend on exclusives and developers, and also the ability to add more games to the Pro library that we're all going to benefit from.
Yeah. All right. So look, we've gone through all of the 3 days, and then right at the end of day 3, something happened that was very, very irritating, and we're going to talk about that. Not too long though, because we also had a bunch of super chats that came in that we need to respond to as well. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about all of that stuff. So stick around, everybody. All right, just the file is already in an hour, and I just want to save what we got.
Awesome.
What episode is this? 81? Yeah, it's 81.
Yep.
Stadiacast 81. Save. All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I got home from work on day 3, and I sat down to look at all of the things, because I did an open mic each day, and everybody was super angry in chat. And I was like, what is everybody so mad about? I thought day 3 was pretty damn good. And that's because I didn't see what happened 18 minutes after Stadia finished their good stuff day 3. Lloyd, do you want to tell people about what happened?
Yeah, when Bill started up the stream, I chatted a bunch of times. I'm like, Bill, check Twitter. Bill, check Twitter. Bill, check Twitter. And you were talking other things. So finally, I'm like, okay, I got to DM this because this has to be looked at. So I sent you a bunch of information, and it turns out that a creative director at Stadia is what it was said at first, which is technically true, but doesn't tell the whole story. His name is Alex Hutchinson. He's a studio exec from a studio that Stadia bought. He basically came right out and said that publishers and game developers are being stolen from when people stream a game, because no one's paying for the games that are being streamed. And what really should happen is people that are streaming games should buy a specific streaming license so that developers can get revenue from each time that the game is being streamed, which caused the internet to explode. We had 3 days of good news. People loved the good stuff. And then you had a studio exec at Stadia, or a creative director at Stadia, come out and saying that everyone that streams games are thieves, and everybody that watches them are also thieves, and you should pay us more money. And the internet exploded. In reality, he's an executive of a studio that Google bought, so it's not Stadia. It's not Stadia has this idea, and Stadia is built on top of YouTube, which is encouraging people to stream. And also, Stadia is going to be getting a feature soon where anybody can hit a button and start streaming to YouTube. So this was just out of nowhere insanity, and it made me shake my head, and it was kind of like a gut punch after 3 days of positive PR, of people talking good about Stadia that were basically ripping on it for months and months and months, being the butt of all the internet jokes and memes. All of a sudden people started coming out and all those memes and jokes started up again, and it's just like, oh my god. So I think I tweeted out 2 steps forward, 827 steps back, because that's what it felt like at the time, where all the positive stuff that was happening online for Stadia basically just went away, and it was back to the old, oh, really, you're gonna make me pay for the 5 people that are gonna watch it because only 5 people use Stadia, and all those like me and my 4 friends playing Stadia type jokes came out. It was just really bad timing and a really bad look from someone that is a studio head for a company that is owned by a large streaming company that is making it easier for people to stream.
Yeah. Well, Google did respond. They have an official response. Their official response is the recent tweets by Alex Hutchinson, creative director at the Montreal studio of Stadia Games and Entertainment, do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, or Google.
Yeah.
Ryan Wyatt, who is works at YouTube, he said, "We believe that publishers and creators have a wonderful symbiotic relationship that has allowed a thriving ecosystem to be created, one that has mutually benefited everyone. YouTube is focused on creating value for creators, publishers, and users. All ships rise when we work together."
Exactly.
So, look, there are people, and there's a lot of people out there that were like, somebody needs to fire this guy. And I don't like, personally, this is just my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with me if you want, everybody. I don't feel like companies should fire people for their opinions, even if their opinions are terrible. And his opinion is terrible. Like, that is, I tweeted at him, I said, this is the worst take you could possibly make. I don't understand why you would do this on the tail end of all of the hype around Stadia. Like, that just seems like such a stupid move. But he's allowed to have bad opinions. So I don't think he should be fired. He should definitely be talked to by somebody at Stadia saying, hey, you know what? You're kind of making us look like a bunch of dorks. Can you knock it off?
And he was talked to.
Huh?
Obviously he obviously was talked to, because he added all comments are my own, or all opinions are my own, and then he edited his profile one more time to say that he's a creative director at the studio that he works at, not a creative director at Stadia. So I'm sure some I don't know, high-waged people called him and said, you got to fix this, you're ruining it for the rest of us that are all trying to push this Stadia thing forward. So yeah, just horrible timing. And some of his comments, he was directly attacking like game blogs and people that work there. He was basically saying that if you buy a movie, you can't stream it for your friends, and which is ridiculous. Of sure, you can't stream a movie that you bought for your friends, but a movie isn't interactive. A movie is the same every single time you watch it. So if you streamed a movie, everybody now has a copy of movie. If you stream a game, your gameplay is different, your commentary is different, you're taking and extending the thing that you're that you're using as the part of your stream. You're not just making a copy of the video game and giving it to everybody. So sure, I know the rules, I know the legality. It is a gray area right now because no one's enforcing it, and that could change at any time. But for a Stadia studio head to basically come out and say that everybody that streams is stealing from us, and you need to give us a percentage of the revenue that you make from streaming, is just such a weird comment to have. Like you said, 18 minutes after the third day of 3 of bringing hype to Stadia. It was just such a bad thing to do. But hopefully other people can learn from this, what not to do when your company's having 3 days, a 3-day celebration. Don't just pour gasoline all over it and light it on fire, is maybe something that people can learn from.
So let's talk about the 3-day celebration real quick. I think that there's a lot of people who thought I like the announcements that were made,
Mhm.
but I don't like that Google hyped it up ahead of time. I'm one of those people, by the way. I think that Google should have stealth dropped this, and all of
Mhm.
the goodwill that they would have gotten would have doubled or tripled. What do
Sure.
you think about it, Lloyd? Because you and I haven't talked about this.
Well, this event wasn't for us. This
Yeah,
event
I'm
was
aware, but don't you think it would have been? Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead.
No, my thought on this whole thing is the event wasn't for us, the Stadia super fans and the people that come and the 300 people that come and watch us do a Sunday recording of Stadiacast. This event wasn't for us. It was for the people that heard of Stadia and then saw all the internet memes that it's terrible and it's a wasteland and it's slow and it's laggy. This was an event for people that maybe didn't want to give a credit card to Google for something that they may not like, to say, hey, there's no reason not to jump in right now. You had free trials before that you could have jumped on. You didn't. That's fine. We get it. But now you can just click this button and play Pac-Man, or click this button and play the next big Ubisoft game that people are hyped for, or one of the next few, because we got a couple other Ubisoft games between now and when Gods and Monsters or Immortals Fenyx Rising comes out. The event was for those people, and I think it did a really good job. And if it was stealth dropped and there wasn't this fanfare and this built up hype and people talking about it on Twitter, those people wouldn't have seen it. They would have maybe saw an IGN blog or a GameSpot blog about playing Immortals Fenyx Rising, but they wouldn't have had all the hype on Twitter leading up to that video every single day. So I think the way they did it was good, but they could, like, just calling it good stuff and we have lots to show you doesn't contain or doesn't try to limit the hype. So there was a lot of people that were really disappointed on day 1, day 2, and day 3. But there's always going to be people that are upset
Oh
when
yeah.
you say you have an announcement. When you announce an announcement, you're immediately saying that we're flying to the moon and building a base. That's what we're talking about, this little widget company that makes widgets, but no, this is what they're doing. Obviously, they're gonna make free energy for everybody. Like, people's brains go to like the weirdest, biggest thing that people could be saying. So it's really impossible to control that level of hype. But I think Google did okay. I really wish that it was more than just a 5-minute video every day. It would have been nice if it was a 5-minute video and then one Google exec come out and say why Stadia is awesome, and this is where it was when we started, this is where it is now. Like, some bigger video that talked about all this stuff, like talked about Stadia as a whole, would have been nice to kind of wrap this whole event up. But I think they did a really good job. Hype is out there. People are going to be disappointed, and as you said, Bill, and people were really angry when you said it, if you're hyped and you're overhyped, it's your own fault. People got really angry about that, but it's true.
People are always mad at me, though.
People are always mad about everything online. So I think they did a really good job, and hopefully this is a regular thing. Hopefully a few times a year they have a good stuff week where they talk about all these really great announcements, and it's maybe better than, say, like a Nintendo Direct, where they do like a 15 or 20-minute video, but they only do it like twice a year. Having something like this over a period of days with stuff that you can play immediately and do that multiple times a year, I think that would be a really great strategy for Google.
I totally agree, but I still think it would be better if it were stealth dropped. I know that you're saying that nobody
Yeah.
would be watching if it weren't stealth dropped, but if you stealth drop, okay, nobody's going to be watching for, well, okay, very few people would be watching, care about the Humankind beta.
Mhm.
But if you stealth drop, hey everybody, we've got Pac-Man as a battle royale that you can try right now for free, that is going to get some hype. That's going to get
Yeah.
lots and lots of hype, and it would get people trying things out. I think overall, I've already talked about the stealth drop of it. What really came out of these 3 days is the fact that the demos, they work, and they can be the future of Stadia. Is it's going to sell so many copies of games where other people, a lot of times a company is going to be wary to put a demo out there. And I was wondering, how are they going to do it, to put a demo out there and keep people from just making new accounts to keep playing? It's simple. You make the demo only available for 7 days or however many days, or a weekend or something like that. It's
Right.
brilliant, and I think that it's going to show a lot of people that Stadia works incredibly well, and it's going to sell a lot of games. It's going to make a lot of publishers say, I think we need to make a Stadia version so that people can do the demo, because the
Yeah.
demo is awesome and they can control it, whereas they can't necessarily control it if a demo's on PC or other consoles.
Yeah. I for me, stealth drops, you need an audience there for stealth drops. And Stadia, as much as I love Stadia, it's my primary gaming platform. It's the one where I want to play all new games just because of the convenience factor. When you look on Reddit, for example, the subreddit for Stadia has 70 plus thousand people. When you look at Xbox One, it has 2.5 million people. When you look at PlayStation, it has like 500,000, and then there's a bunch of other PlayStation subreddits. So if you did a stealth drop on Xbox and someone posted on Reddit, you have 2 million people that could see that. Where when you have something on Stadia, it's not quite that thing. So I think stealth drops are fantastic, and hopefully they do some in the future. But when you have a big event like this for such a small community that you want to expand, you want the fanfare, because you want to invite people to be interested in it, and then say, hey, this sounded cool, I can just click this button and play it, why not? And click the button, and then they're playing a game on their web browser. So I think you need the critical number of people to take your hype and extend it, which you don't have if you have such a small user community at the start. So I think stealth drops will come, and hopefully we can have stealth drops in addition to things like good stuff events or other videos, other connects or whatever.
That makes a lot of sense as well. The one last thing that I want to talk about is, and then we'll get to the crowd play, is that it seems like Xbox is saying, you know what, Stadia's probably onto something here with streaming, because Phil Spencer is quoted saying, I think you're going to see a lower priced hardware as part of our ecosystem. When you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to go plug into their TV and go play via xCloud, you could imagine us even having something that we just included in the Game Pass subscription that gave you the ability to stream to stream xCloud games to your TV and buying a controller. That's exactly what Stadia is doing. And while Microsoft, I still think Stadia is the better solution, because Microsoft still has that 1 foot in selling you a box, where Google does not. I think that it's clear that everybody who understands this industry knows that this is the future. And whether we like it or not, I like it. There's a lot of people who don't like it. Whether we like it or not, it is the future. And Google's the first ones there.
Yeah, I agree. And for them to come right out and say that, yeah, maybe if you buy a year of Game Pass in the future, you'll if you want, it really shows that streaming is the next battleground. And for Amazon to come up with Luna, go check out all the Luna subreddits, the Luna shows. There's a lot of hype for Luna as well, even though it's only launched in the US right now. That will expand as well. You have Xbox, they want to get Xbox Game Pass on everything, whether it's a TV, whether it's another game console. They want to have everybody be able to play their games wherever they are. It just shows that maybe Stadia wasn't a dumb idea that people called it when it first launched, saying this will never take off. It just, like, the episode 1 or episode 2, when we were talking about Stadia, it feels so much like about music streaming when it went from albums to MP3s, and then MP3 downloads. People are like, oh, this is going to ruin the industry, everything's going to blow up. Well, it didn't ruin the industry. It gave more people access to music and developed other revenue things. The revenue from selling music went down, but the revenue from other stuff went up. And it's the same with TV streaming and movie streaming. The reality is the world is changing, and you're either going to be in front of at the front of the train, or you're going to get hit by the train. So hopefully more companies do get on the hype train and start creating services that people want to subscribe to, because the reality is in 20 years, no one's going to have a console that sits under their TV anymore. It doesn't make sense. Everything's going to be online and streaming. The internet needs to move a lot to get to that place where more people can take advantage of it. But the reality is no one buys DVDs and Blu-rays anymore. There's a small percentage of the population that does that. Everyone streams their stuff or downloads VODs and rents them off Apple TV or Google or whatever. So yeah, I think all the companies are focused on Stadia as we gotta go faster because Stadia is doing a really good job, and that's a really good thing to see from me, a Stadia enthusiast that loves the technology. It'll be great to see other companies what new enhancements they do, and then see Stadia steal from that, and then see other companies steal from Stadia. And when you have these, when everything is kind of in a relationship like that, where they're all grabbing and stealing stuff from each other, it just makes the whole industry better, which is what I want to see. I want to see a viable, fully only streaming future where I can play the next PlayStation game on my PC, the next Xbox game on my PC, or the next Stadia game on my PC, because I don't want to download and buy games on physical discs anymore. I just want to play them streamed.
All right, we had a bunch of super chats that came in throughout the show, so we're going to respond to those. First off, Ruben sent in a super chat. He said, now that we've got your chair fixed, Lloyd, back to Lloyd's camera fund. Hilarious. Consino says, I am guilty of letting the tweet, he's referring to the tweet from Alex, I'm guilty of letting the tweet get me down, but not going to let one guy bring us down. Love the show. Lloyd Camera Fund, streamer license fee, LOL. Thank you very much for the support from both of you. We had Viriato became a member during the show. Jay Dangle 25 sent us super chats. They said, do you see any real-time strategy games on or coming to Stadia? It was a huge Command and Conquer Generals. I was a huge Command and Conquer Generals 0 Hour fan. What do you think, Lloyd?
I would love to see that. They just rebooted Command and Conquer, so you can get Command and Conquer and Red Alert and all that as they redid all the art to make it modern. You could play. I was playing it on my monitor, which is a 4K monitor, which just blew me away that I'm playing Command and Conquer with that much real estate. And then there's an option where you can toggle back to the original graphics, and I was like, "Oh, this looks terrible." Went back to the new stuff. I would love to see Command and Conquer on Stadia. Command and Conquer is such a fun real-time strategy games, like StarCraft and all those games are so much fun, and they kind of were really hyped for a while, really popular, and then they kind of died. There's other RTS games that come out, but they're not a super popular franchise anymore. Everyone went into shooters and battle royale and stuff like that. It'd be really nice to add some of those back to Stadia. If we could get like Dune 2, the Dune movie and book, they had a really great RTS that I loved. If I could get Dune and the Command and Conquer trilogy, or I think it's only 2 games in that remastered thing. If I could get that on Stadia, man, I would be such a happy camper because I'd be able to play those at any time.
You know what I want? I don't want a real-time strategy game that plays like the old real-time strategy games. I want a real-time strategy game from Stadia Games and Entertainment, excuse me, where you're on a map with 50 other players or something like that. That would be really, really cool and very exciting. I, however, probably would not play it. And the reason that I would not play it is because I suck at those games. I'm so bad at them. I don't have the APM that I need in order to compete. And so playing, oh my God, take over, Lloyd.
Yeah, like for me, I'm not a person that likes to play multiplayer RTS. My brother-in-law was really big into StarCraft when it was super popular, and he'd play online all the time. Him and his friends would all get together, move their PCs to buddy's house, set all the stuff up, and play against everybody online and do really, really well. That's not me. I'm a okay, I want to think about this. I want to plan it out. I want to go this way. I want to do it slowly. I'm not a huge multiplayer RTS fan, but a single player RTS, I love me a good single player RTS.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I had a coughing fit just then. Thank you very much for the super chat, Anthony. We appreciate that. that comment. Oh no, that was Jay Dengle. Anthony Talcott sent in a super chat as well. He said, "Hey guys, I really like the good stuff. Gave me something to look forward to, which is in short supply. How do you want to get your unveils? Connects as it comes out, or the good stuff?" I'll let you go first, Lloyd. I think we kind of talked about it, but you know we've got options here. So
Sure. Yes, that's my answer. Yes,
yeah, I'm
all
with
the
you.
above.
Yeah, we
All the
want all
above.
of them.
I want connects because those are going to be when we get maybe huge features announced or um, new places on the planet where you're going to be able to stream Stadia. That'll be great. These good stuff type events are really good to just drum up hype. But then stealth drops are fun as well. Like when we get an announcement what our next pro games are, and some of those pro games are games that we didn't even know are coming to Stadia. I mean, that's a great thing as well. I think they're a good marketing campaign will use all of that to get the word out and drum up hype.
You know, I think I've been convinced. You know, I was kind of saying, "Give me the stealth drops, give me the stealth drops," but I think you kind of convinced me that yeah, we got to have all of them, not just one, got to have all of them. And I also want to say, like, this is something that I thought about because there were a lot of people who were with me on this, on saying, you know, stealth drops are the way to go. Um, I also think it's important to separate the announcement from the way it was announced.
Mm,
And if you had asked everybody how they felt about the actual stuff, not just how it was announced, but the stuff itself, I think most people would be like, that was pretty damn good. Like in
mhm.
in in the span of, I'm gonna say, a week. I know that it was 3 days of good stuff, but I'm gonna include uh, what's the cyberpunk thing. So in the
Mhm.
span of a
Yeah.
week, we got the announcement for Cyberpunk. We got all of those Ubisoft games. We got
Yep.
3 really cool demos. We got an announcement of a very popular game coming to Pro, and we got an announcement of, I think, 4 other games that are all coming to Stadia. I think
Yep.
that's a really really good bunch of information to come out. That's my
Yep.
opinion though.
And the best part is now we know what to expect from these good stuff events. So all of the crazy features and speculation about rolling out Stadia worldwide and all the other things that people said will probably happen. Now we know that during these good stuff events, if this is something that Google chooses to continue with, we're going to get game announcements, we're going to get demos, we're going to get feature announcements for games that we already know of, like DLC for Orcs Must Die. They've kind of set a baseline for what these events are. So if they do it in the future, we'll then know that we don't hype that everybody's going to get a free Stadia controller and they're going to ship them out to the world and they're going to generate their own energy and like all these crazy ideas that people have, right? It's just like, okay, it's going to be game announcements. It's going to be 3 days of demos, and yeah, we're going to find out stuff about games that maybe we knew about or didn't know about. This is fantastic.
Yeah. So moving on to a couple more super chats. We had 2 super chats that don't have a question. One from Alex and one from JB. JB says, "Been busy working, but great to join my Stadiacast family again.
Welcome,
Don't work.
JB.
Don't work too hard, JB." Alex says, "Love listening to you guys every Sunday and the awesome community." Well, thank you very much for being a part of that community and for the support. We appreciate it. Cedric Crenshaw sent in a question, or a comment, I guess. He said, "Stadia has survived its first major controversy, like PlayStation, Microsoft, and Nintendo before. It's officially part of the gaming industry. Congratulations." And yeah, there's a thing a lot of people forget about, is that all of them, Microsoft, PlayStation, and Nintendo, have fallen on their faces in the
Mhm.
past. The PS3, when they came out with the PS3 was like, it was, what was it, $600?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they
but
were
all I
like,
know is that
if you can't afford
I'll
it,
be
buy.
happy.
Go ahead.
I'll be happy to take on a second job to be able to afford it. According to one of the Sony Japan execs, basically came out and said, which is just the weirdest comment I've ever seen about gaming ever. But yeah, they've all had their they've all been flipped over and had their belly attacked for massive damage, I guess we could say.
Right. And so then you look at Microsoft. Microsoft had the always online thing with the Xbox One release, and they were like, just deal with it, man. Everything's online these days. It's
Yeah.
fine. Although in hindsight, it looks like they were right. And
Yeah.
then Nintendo, they had their nonsense where they were like, you can't stream or do anything with our games on YouTube without joining our creators program, and then we take 30% of the money that you make by doing
Yeah.
that. And they survived too. So you know what? These gaming companies are going to have these mix-ups. It just so happens that sometimes it comes from decision makers, and sometimes it comes from a guy who has the wrong information on his Twitter profile, which is just something to keep in mind as well. And then
Yeah,
finally,
exactly.
Zane became a member during the show as well. All right, Lloyd, we're getting ready to wrap up. This is going to be like the longest episode that we've done so far, I think.
Sure.
Before we do, I asked people to vote on which demo they put the most time into on Google Stadia so far.
Mhm.
So first off, I'm going to ask you, what
Mhm.
demo did you put the most time into on of the three?
Pac-Man. I spent so much time playing Pac-Man, trying to get my first Pac Royale or whatever you want to call it. I finally got it, and I was super happy. Probably by the end of this week, or the end of the good stuff week, when all the demos time out, the one that I'll have spent the most time with will probably be Immortals, because I'm going to play through that whole demo and explore every nook and cranny today. That's my plan of the day, is playing some Immortals.
Awesome. For me, it was also Pac-Man. I lucked out. I won like on my third try or something like that. Excuse me.
Yeah. I watched your stream and I was very disappointed that you won so early. I'm like, what the hell? Well, how did that happen?
I
Yeah.
play a lot of Pac-Man though. Like, there's a reason why I got Pac-Man lights behind me and stuff. I love Pac-Man. So I had so much fun with that. I've played a bunch of Immortal Fenyx Rising. I'm probably not going to play any more of it. I'm going to wait until the actual game comes out, and
Sure.
I'm not going to spend that much time with it. Humankind, I loaded up, I looked at it, and I said, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, and closed it. And I will not go back to it until
Yeah.
when maybe when the game comes out next year, and it has like a proper tutorial to slowly teach me how to play the game. Then I'll check it out, because I like to play those games. I don't get super into them, but I like to, all right, I'm going to sit down and do 3 or 4 turns and then go and play something else. It's one of those games where, you just kind of dabble in a little bit, at
Sure.
least for me. But, I asked everybody else what game they spent the most time in, and they said Immortals Fenyx Rising was but 66% of people said that's the one that they spent the most time in. 22% said Pac-Man, and 12% said Humankind. So
Wow.
that's the breakout. The Immortals Fenyx Rising is the one that is certainly impressing the most people, because I think if you looked at Pac-Man on the surface, you could say, yeah, I could see how this would run on a Chromebook. Although there's a lot of stuff moving around on the screen all the time and off the screen. So, but I can see how a lot of people would say, yeah, that would just run on a Chromebook. But Immortals Fenyx Rising, that's the one where you like, oh, okay. This device that I'm playing on can't play. It was funny. I did see a bunch of people saying, oh, I wish I could play the Immortals Fenyx Rising demo. And I was like, then play it. What is your problem? Why can't you
Click the
just
button.
try it? There's so many people that just won't try. Anyway,
it drives me
go ahead,
drives me
Lloyd,
insane.
and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, just one thing to note: if you play through all of Immortals Fenyx Rising, you get something that you can take over into the main game. Ubisoft announced that their Ubisoft Club and their Uplay service, which allowed you to earn things in game by playing Ubisoft games, is being replaced with something else. I believe it's called Ubisoft Connect. I want to
Yes.
say. I think that's it. And the good benefit of that is there's going to be cross play and cross progression on every Ubisoft game, starting with Watch Dogs, I believe. So if you unlock the thing in Immortals Fenyx Rising demo, I wonder if that's going to be tied to your Ubisoft Connect account, meaning that if you play if you played on another platform, maybe you'll get that thing, which I don't want to spoil. That'd be interesting to see if that is the first thing that gets carried on. But I haven't seen whether it will or whether it won't. And I've looked on Twitter a bunch of times to see what people were saying about it. But that's a huge announcement for Stadia, because if we get more crossplay and cross progression, there's going to be less friction for people jumping in and playing a game on Stadia, in addition to, say, their Xbox, because they can continue on from a hotel if they're traveling just by picking up the game again on Stadia. I think that's going to be amazing, I think.
Well, I just want to clarify. I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe Watch Dogs starts with cross progression, and cross play is going to happen later.
Exactly. I misspoke. What I meant is Connect is going to be supported with the first game starting with Watch Dogs, which will be the cross progression stuff.
Awesome. All right, that's it for the show. It was a long one. Thank you for hanging out with us this whole time. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, that would be at Stadiacast. I'm at Run Jump Stomp. He is at Dasme. And join our Discord over at runjumpstomp.com. You can join Lloyd's Discord over at rezd.tv. That's rezd.tv. I think that's going to do it for us today. Lloyd, you want to sign us off?
Yeah, that's it. Have a great week, everybody. Go play those demos before they expire. They're going to start expiring on Tuesday. You only have a few more days to get some Pac-Man and some Immortals Fenyx Rising in.
And Mankind.
And Mankind. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Mankind. Sorry.
he leaves it out just like 90% of everybody else for some reason. I know it's not a super popular genre, but I think it's probably a good example of the genre.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't have to be for everybody. So there you go. We did it. We made a show, and you guys were here to listen to it and contribute to it, and we appreciate that about you guys. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. I already stopped recording.
Oh
God, I don't know. I was like I just started choking, and I was like coughing and coughing and coughing. I know you could see me, but I switched the camera over so that they could only see you, but I know you could still see me, and I was like, ah. Oh no, I made a face. Somebody's gonna clip that.
I'm watching the YouTube, so I'm like 3 seconds behind, and I go full screen. I'm like, okay, I'm taking over. I'm gonna take over. Bill's dying over here, and I can see your camera feed out of my side of my eye as well. So I'm seeing everything. Yeah, Humankind, not Mankind, but yeah.
Did we say that? Did I say that?
Probably. I don't remember.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. So good show. Thanks everybody for coming out and joining us. That was a lot of fun.
Now, you're gonna go and play Immortals?
I'm going to go do some real life stuff for the next little bit, and then I'm probably going to play some Immortals a little bit later this afternoon. Yeah.
Cool. I am going to go take care of some stuff around the house. I was going to stream afterwards, but I'm not going to today. We're going to get back to that as soon as we can. I just don't have time right now. But thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. We had a whole bunch of people. You guys are awesome for coming and spending your Sunday mornings with us. Really appreciate it. And thank you everybody who came to the open mics throughout the week. We had hundreds of people there, which is just crazy to me. So thank you.
And a lot of new faces as well, which was great to see. So I love everybody that all the common names that we see every week. You folks are all amazing, but seeing new people come in asking Stadia questions, not knowing much about Stadia, that is what we need to grow Stadia as a service. So it was great to see that.
All right, bye everybody.
Later.